This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
This milestone is but one part of our larger steps towards progress.
After years of discussion, some IMPD officers are now wearing body cameras. Tonight, we show you exactly how the cameras work, and we explain what this means for both officers and the community.
A shaky first week back for several school districts here in central Indiana. I'm Stephanie Wade, talking with superintendents about what their plan is for the future.
Indy-based pharmaceutical giant Eli Lilly takes the next step, developing a potential way to prevent people from getting COVID-19.
Anytime a patient delays coming to the hospital for something that's an emergency, it puts them at a risk.
Doctors and surgeons say many people are avoiding medical treatment for non-COVID-19 issues. Why they say you need to get the care that you need. Good evening to you here at 6 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins. First tonight, let's call this Monday a transition day to what will become a beautiful week. But we are marking that transition with rain and thunderstorms right now. Let's get to Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory with what you can expect for the rest of the evening. Kevin.
And I'll show you some of the heavy rainfall reports. This is Bloomington, just to the south and east of downtown Bloomington, over 2 inches of rain. This is what Bloomington looks like right now. Starting to dry out. It will take a little bit. Localized street flooding in Marion County as well, in Speedway, as a heavy rain moved through. You can see it's the eastern portion of the state that will have the bulk of the rain here in the next couple of hours. Knightstown to Newcastle up to Muncie, some heavier downpours there, and you're hearing rumbles of thunder around Muncie. Heaviest rain right along I-65. If you're on 65 leaving Columbus headed down to Seymour, you'll pass right through that cluster of thunderstorms that will bring a quick half-inch of rain. Indy's back up to 70. We were in the 60s with the active rain. 79 in Lafayette, where you've had more dry hours. Between 7 and 11, you'll notice the greens and yellows slowly disappear as we dry out. Sets the stage for tomorrow, where we begin a very pleasant stretch of days. I'll have more details, but no warmer than about 75 tomorrow. Mark?
Thank you, Kevin. Today marks a milestone for the Indianapolis Metro Police Department. Some officers are now wearing body cameras. The move, which has been discussed for years, is starting to happen now. This as IMPD tries to increase transparency and accountability with the public. Working for you, RTV6's Megan Sanctorum shows us how the cameras work and what it means for both the officers and the community.
It's a project that's been years in the making, and starting today, IMPD officers are being outfitted with body cameras. These are the cameras all IMPD officers will wear as they respond to 911 calls and interact with the public. There's something community members and organized groups like Indy 10, Black Lives Matter, have been pushing for.
Body cameras are a ways for us to increase accountability, hopefully, for our local police department.
The cameras zip into the officer's uniform so they can't be knocked off. And they include technology that will automatically start recording whenever an officer is dispatched to a call, turns on their lights and siren, begins running, or reaches for a weapon on their holster.
We want to see what they see. We want to see the interactions from beginning to end and not an edited version of what it is that they're attempting to give to the public.
Police say all footage from the camera will be uploaded in real time to the cloud, so nobody will be able to alter or delete it. Video will then be stored for 190 days per state mandate, and the public can request a copy of that footage. IMPD also recently updated their use of force policy, and last month they banned no-knock warrants. Chief Randall Taylor says these are all steps forward for the department.
While body-worn camera program is certainly no cure-all, it represents a significant investment in the type of police department we strive to be.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
Well, the department hopes to train and outfit 10 officers per day. They are starting on the East District and hope to have all officers trained and outfitted with the cameras by November. Beginning tomorrow, RTV6 and Radio 1 will host a series of discussions exploring racial issues and the recent protests and civil unrest in central Indiana. Each Tuesday at 5 p.m. on the RTV6 Facebook page, we will bring together diverse voices from the community to have open, honest conversations on several issues pertaining to race and prejudice. Tomorrow, we will explore the history of race relations in central Indiana. Again, this will be on the RTV6 Facebook page every Tuesday at 5 p.m. beginning tomorrow. tomorrow. Some schools in central Indiana have started to welcome back students in person, and this comeback hasn't been perfect. Several schools have experienced COVID-19 difficulties. Tonight, RTV6 is asking the state if it will be providing more guidance to schools on how to keep students and staff safe. Stephanie Wade is speaking to administrators in one district which had a COVID-19 case during their first day of class.
The very night after students' first day back here at school, the Greenfield Central superintendent emailed parents notifying them that a student did indeed come to school that day, later testing positive for the coronavirus.
That was a little alarming, a little disappointing. We put 3 months into planning for this.
That afternoon on day one, the Hancock County Health Department called Greenfield Central Schools to tell them that a student at the junior high had tested positive for the coronavirus.
The student had taken the test a few days before, came to school before they got the results. Upon finding that out, we pulled the student from a classroom, isolated that individual in the clinic.
From there, they identified through seating charts who was close to the student and notified those families to quarantine for 14 days.
COVID is going to spread, so we had to have protocols in place to make sure that we knew what we would do and to work with our principals and teachers to let them know how we would follow through with that, to let our community know that.
Greenfield, just one of the districts to have a positive COVID case within the first week. Some wishing for more guidance from the state, as the Department of Education largely left their guidelines and recommendations up to the local health departments and school districts.
Everybody wants more support, but obviously we've got to figure out how to do that with the support that we have in place.
Dr. Harold Olin realizing
contact tracing requires a lot of time. Think about that from one case for a student that was with us for part of the day. Think about what that would look like on a day where you may have 2 or 3.
In this ever-changing environment, the threshold for them, he says,
it's not a number of cases specifically. If our attendance rate reaches an alarming rate, we could certainly consider moving everyone to a virtual environment. We will have conversation with the local health department if our attendance rate drops below 90%.
In Greenfield, Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Well, the state health department tells RTV6 it is not tracking COVID-19 cases in schools right now. There is also no requirement for schools to have their COVID-19 safety plans approved by the state. But the DOE says it is required to update its continuous learning plan. The DOE plans on holding a press briefing this week to update us further. School and health officials in Hancock County say a new Palestine high school student had tested positive for COVID-19 showed up for the first day of school today after their physician gave them a wrong quarantine end date. According to a press release issued this afternoon, the student wore a mask as required by the school to return to school in New Palestine. Family members of those who came in close contact with the student were notified, and those students were removed from the school for 14 days. According to school and health officials, a note from the family's physician at Hancock Health had included an incorrect return to school date. The school noticed the error after the health department notified them about the positive test result. This morning, the Washington Township School Board voted to allow students in grades 6 through 12 to participate in athletics. This impacts North Central High School and other Washington Township schools. We do want to point out that this video is from last football season. The district says athletic participation is optional and athletes should follow the guidance of their health care providers regarding participation. Face coverings and social distancing of 6 feet or more will be required for all spectators at all events. A drop in new COVID-19 cases, but one reason for that could be a drop in the number of people tested. The Indiana State Department of Health confirms 582 new cases of COVID-19. That's down from 784 new cases reported yesterday. But data from the state today shows 6,470 people newly tested for coronavirus. That's down from the more than 12,200 newly tested individuals reported yesterday. The Department of Health confirms 5 new COVID-19 deaths between August 1st and August 2nd. Since the pandemic began, 2,780 Hoosiers have died from coronavirus. More than 775,000 people in Indiana have been tested for COVID-19. 8.8% of them tested positive for the virus. The state now making a new distinction when reporting how many people in the hospital because of COVID-19, showing us confirmed versus suspected cases of the virus. There were 482 confirmed COVID-19 patients in Indiana hospitals as of yesterday. There were another 422 patients who had some symptoms but haven't yet tested positive for the virus. So that means a total of 904 people are in the hospital with either COVID-19 or suspected of having the virus. ABC News reports pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly, based in Indianapolis, says it is now in the final stage of testing monoclonal antibodies to help treat COVID-19. That's a manufactured antibody therapy drug, which Lilly hopes will offer short-term immunity to people and could be used as a bridge until a COVID-19 vaccine is approved.
So we know from preclinical experimentation that the antibody has the potential to block transmission of the disease. In other words, if we give it to an individual, we're testing to see whether they're now protected from getting infected with the virus.
As we reported back in June, if this proves to be effective against COVID-19, the treatment could be available by fall. Experts are telling RTV6 COVID phobia might be keeping people with serious non-COVID-19 conditions away from emergency rooms. Troy Washington is working for you to explain why doctors say it is important to push fear to the side and come in for treatment.
There used to be a rush to get here to the emergency room, but now Dr. Ashley Meager thinks COVID-19 is making some afraid to come in to get help and relief from pain.
There has been an increased number of people avoiding the hospital, and to the point where they wait until they're so sick that it's really hard for us to take care of them.
Dr. Meager was just getting off from a 24-hour shift working as a trauma and acute care surgeon when we caught up with her.
Anytime a patient delays coming to the hospital for something that's an emergency, it puts them at a risk of a poor outcome. Don't delay coming to the hospital. If you need to come to the hospital, we're going to take care of you. We're going to keep you safe. And we are here for you. The emergency rooms are open. The surgeons are there.
She wants patients to know they are in good hands and it's better to catch things early rather than later.
I woke up Wednesday morning and I was experiencing some pain on my lower right side of my abdomen. I've never had a problem with my appendix in the past. And I said, oh my goodness, I hope this is not my appendix.
Phyllis Schooler says she only waited a day before making arrangements to get checked out.
I did the virtual appointment and I was laying on my bed when I did it with my doctor, Dr. Amadoudan, and she was telling me where to press and she could see with, from my laptop, and she was telling me she was thinking it was my appendix. And she asked me, will you please, is there someone that can take you, go to the nearest emergency room?
Do you worry about if you would have waited any longer? Because there are a lot of people who are waiting and things are getting so bad by the time that they go in, it's a worse situation.
I just thank God that I did not wait.
Dr. Meager says Schooler did the right thing and she wouldn't advise anyone to put off that type of surgery because her appendix could have burst. In fact, this surgeon says it's better safe than sorry, and it's important to keep up with prescribed medication.
I know that the pharmacies such as CVS and Walgreens, many of them have drive-ups, and you can drive up and do a no-touch pickup of your medications. So really stay on top of refilling medications.
Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
According to Dr. Meager, patients who are more prone to developing bad COVID-19 symptoms due to pre-existing conditions should monitor themselves as closely as possible and make a point to see your doctor for checkups, even if the appointments are virtual. Hiring Hoosiers is our commitment to connect you to job opportunities, especially during the pandemic. So let's get to the job feed. The Indiana Department of Correction has job openings, and there are 8 virtual hiring events in August. Each event will be hosted on Microsoft Teams with a Department of Correction recruiter and a representative from the Human Resources Department to answer questions and schedule an interview. We do have a complete schedule of virtual hiring events and how you can register up right now at hiringhoosiers.com. Fukai Toyotetsu Indiana Corporation is a stamping and welding manufacturer in the Boone County community of Jamestown. They are looking for production team members, machine maintenance, and die maintenance team members. You can learn more about all of these jobs and find links to applying for them on the Hiring Hoosiers Facebook page and at hiringhoosiers.com. The future of the North Split up for discussion tonight, looking live at that interchange. Next, what INDOT wants to do here and the pushback from some residents. The Pacers are in action right now, but on Saturday night, the team restarted their season with a bang behind T.J. Warren. Brad Brown with a closer look coming up.
And thunder providing a bang down in portions of Bartholomew County between Columbus and Seymour. Some 50-mile-per-hour gusts. Strong storm moving to the east. More on that coming up.
Welcome back. Law enforcement, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, have been carrying out raids across Indianapolis today. An FBI spokesperson says the raids are related to drug activity. The spokesperson also said these are coordinated raids around Indianapolis involving the FBI, state and local law enforcement officials as well. No word yet on how many people investigators took into custody today. We are now learning that a 4-year-old boy who was critically injured Friday in a crash in Wayne County has since died. The sheriff of Wayne County confirmed that David Kirkendall died Sunday. The little boy was one of 9 people injured in a 3-vehicle crash that happened Friday evening in Richmond near US 40 and Round Barn Road, right by a convenience store parking lot. Plans to rebuild the I-65, I-70 North Split in Indianapolis continue to move forward. This is a live look at that area. Right now, INDOT is holding a public meeting to show off its latest North Split plans. It's happening at Ivy Tech's Culinary and Conference Center on North Meridian Street. The interchange opened in the mid-1970s, and there's been a significant increase in the number of vehicles using it over the years. The North Split's sharp turns have been the source of frequent crashes, many by trucks, and that's part of why INDOT wants changes. But many residents of the old North Side neighborhood that surrounds the interchange have opposed the state's $250 million upgrade project since it was made first public in 2017. And you can find additional information on the North Split project by going to our website, theindychannel.com, and clicking on the link at the bottom of this story.
Lots of rain in a very little period of time. This was in about 40 minutes. Warren Park is on the east side, just inside 465 at about 16th and South Shadeland. 1.5 inches in that short period of time led to some flooding. We've got rain, just some very light rain in Indianapolis area now. Heavier rain from Greenfield to Knightstown, then stretching northeast toward Muncie. It will move through Newcastle as well as that marches to the east. This is our strongest storm, and it's now just about ready to move all the way east of I-65. If you go from Columbus down to Seymour, that will push into Jennings County, north of North Vernon. 50-mile-per-hour gusts and some nickel-sized hail. That's pushing severe limits. Remember, we'd issue a warning at 58-mile-per-hour winds. The rest of central Indiana will be drying out and calming down and cooling down over the next several days. Thunderstorms are next hour or two in the eastern portion of the state. Tropical storm along the Carolina coast right now, but watch what happens over the next 24 hours. I just let this roll, and it will move all the way to the north and east. That will set the stage then for the change in our weather. As high pressure then can start to move from west to east, it will bring dry conditions for us. The next 3 days or so, we're on the mild side. Temperatures will be below average. We'll start to warm back up as we get toward the weekend, and then warmer air returns with that chance for thunderstorms. 75 tomorrow. Be patient. We'll have more clouds in the morning than in the afternoon. 76 Wednesday, a mostly sunny day. We often spend so much time on high temperatures, I don't think low temperatures get their due. We're going to put them in the spotlight. How about this? 53 Wednesday morning, still in the 50s Thursday and Friday. Cool enough that I think you'll enjoy opening the windows. The humidity will be low as well. That's what we call a stable atmosphere right there. You see the veil of stratus clouds. No building vertically into thunderstorms anymore from Indy to the west. Temperatures, they're in the 70s tomorrow. Mid to 70s for a high. That north wind, anywhere from 10 to 15 miles per hour, maybe a little higher gust. Wednesday forecast 76, the magic number. 7-day forecast, as we mentioned, we do warm up by Friday to 82. Mid-80s over the weekend. Rain probably holds off till late Sunday mark. A little more likely we'll see some thunderstorms next Monday.
Enjoy the time in between. All right, thank you, Kevin. The Pacers had to spend 3 weeks in Orlando before they played the first game that counted. But so far, it looks like the long gap in game time hasn't affected the team at all. Brad Brown has a look at their strong start in tonight's Sports Extra Spotlight.
If the rest of the Pacers' time in the bubble goes as well as Saturday's first game, they'll be playing well into the month of September.
It was a special game, you know, just locked in, just laser focused throughout the whole game. My teammates did a great job of feeding me the ball, just me making plays and being myself out there.
TJ Warren's 53-point performance was the best showing of the NBA's opening weekend, and perhaps it surprised many in the league. The Pacers, though, they knew they had this all along.
He's been a scorer since as long as I've known him. I've known him for a long time, well, of him for a long time. And then getting to know him here, playing here, I mean, he was born to give buckets, so it's no surprise to any of us.
He felt confident in his shot right from the start. You know, a couple of those long threes that he took, he did no hesitation. You could tell that he was in a zone, and we tried to continue to take advantage of his scoring tonight.
Victor Oladipo will sit out Monday's game, the front end of a back-to-back. He's expected back in the lineup on Tuesday. Vic is taking things at a conservative pace for now.
Still on a little minute restriction, but not really. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, just adjusting. I thought, you know, I went out there and just, you know, kept the game simple. Don't try to do too much, you know, just finding my flow. Man.
The Pacers have a busy week ahead. 4 games in 6 days. It'll wrap up against the Lakers on Saturday. Each of these giving them a chance to creep closer to maybe being the number 3 team in the Eastern Conference. Brad Brown, RTV6 Sports.
Thanks, Brad. And the Pacers keep rolling along on Monday. They've got a fourth-quarter lead over Washington. About 1 minute left in the game. TJ Warren with another big day. He got 34 points so far. Malcolm Brogdon returned. He's scored 18. And we'll see if the Pacers can hold on for a 2-0 start. Day first, we'll have a complete recap for us tonight at 11. The news at 6 continues after one final break.
Rain, some of it heavy from Greenfield to Anderson on the back edge, then Muncie and Newcastle, the leading edge of that rain. There's your strongest storm. Southeast of Columbus, northwest of North Vernon. That continues to move to the east. Calm in the western portion of the state. Mark?
And we can prove it with this live view of the downtown Indy skyline. Thanks for joining us here for RTV6 News at 6 o'clock. Up next here on 6 is World News with David Muir, and then we're back with you tonight at 7 o'clock.